Hello students, welcome to the video lectures of software engineering. So today we are going to talk about planning principles. So what is a planning? What are the principles and why planning is important for a software project? So these are the things what we are going to discuss, and also the modeling principles after planning principles will be discussed in today's session. So initially, planning basically in any software development will help the team, to create a roadmap. So the roadmap towards their goals. So that is the main intention of a planning in any of the software development activity. So basically, when we say planning, different people have different views on planning. So for example, if we talk about the minimalists, and we have some kind of people for traditionalists, and we also have agilists, right? So what do let us try to understand the different views of the people by considering these three set of people. Okay, so for the minimalists will say like they try to believe in the detailed plans will not or help, or the detailed plans are not at all needed, because continuously the things get changed. Okay, so since the things get changed, okay, so they don't need a detailed plan towards anything, since they believe that the plans will change. Okay, and if we talk about the next category, that is a traditionalist. So they think detailed plans help the team to keep on the track. And the next set of people, we call them as agilists, who prefer very quick and flexible planning. So see, no basic planning principles are always necessary, even though different people have different sort of view on planning. So no matter the approaches, so there are some basic planning principles that always apply to any software development. So today we'll see all those principles. What are they? So we'll start with understanding the scope. This is the very first principle. So what is this understanding the scope? See, scope always provides the software team who is working for the development with a clear destination of what to achieve, and what is their exact goal. Okay, so for example, if you know what the project should include and what the project should exclude, falls under this, the scope of the project. So for example, to explain you this clearly, let us say we are coming up with a software project like an online bookstore, let us say. Okay, we are coming up with a project called online bookstore. So what is online bookstore is? So we generally try to define a very clear goals towards this online bookstore. So which says that the things what we include is the online bookstore will have a search option where you can search for various kinds of books, and just you can buy those books and you can make the payment, and you get the book delivered. And what things should be excluded from this is, let us say there is an feature called ebook reading. Okay, ebook reading. So our project don't support or doesn't have this particular feature. So this is what you need to understand the scope of the project. What things should be included, what things should be excluded. So the example here is an online bookstore. So in an online bookstore, we are maintaining this, the database of all the books which we have, and the customer can search for the book or select the book and make payment and get the book delivered. But rather, what are the excluding? I mean, what things we are excluding is we don't offer or we don't have a feature of online book reading, that is ebook reading. So this is what is trying to understand the scope of the project. So when you understand the scope of the project, you are likely, towards the goal. And second point is involve stakeholders. So this is to get input from all the relevant parties. So for example, you have customers, you have some developers, you have testers, and you have all the people who are concerned with the project, who are involved in the meetings that we conduct for planning. Okay, so that is involving the stakeholders, because each and every stakeholder, they try to define the priorities, exactly to say, and also they will establish the project constraints. So in order to accommodate these realities, we have to, negotiate the order of delivery or timelines and other project related issues. Clear? So that is the reason why we should involve all the stakeholders, such that we get the input from all sort of the parties. Uh, Clear? And then we go to the next point, that is iterative planning. So iterative planning, in the sense, so we have to recognize that the planning is iterative, which means you have to update the plan based on ongoing feedback. So this will help you to have a clear understanding towards your project and achieve the goal. So for example, we discussed in our first unit that about the agile process or agile models, right? So in agile, plans are revisited and revised every sprint. So sprint is nothing but you already know. So we conduct some sprint meetings during our projects. Those are sprints. So basically in our agile models, we discussed already in our first unit that the plans are always revisited and revised. So since there is a constant feedback what we get from the customer, we try to change them. Clear? Then next point we have is estimate based on known data. Okay, so what is this estimate based on known data is, for example, you have done some project earlier, right? And during that project, you have experienced many things during the software project development and till your deployment phase, and of course in the maintenance phase even. So you try to use your past experience in order to make some accurate estimates for the current project. So for example, let us say your project is having a user login feature, so which took approximately 2 days for you in your previous project, and you can just also write the same estimated time for the login feature in this project as well. So I mean, clearly saying that the past experience or the past data, whatever you have, you can just estimate for the current project from your previous experience. That is what is estimate based on the known data. Then consider risks. Okay, consider risks as you define the plan. You should also consider the risks. For example, see, you allocate some extra time for integrating an unfamiliar, third-party API. Sometimes we get right, and always considering the risks will account for uncertainties. Clear? So then we move on to the next one. That is be realistic. So what is being realistic? Yes, the people don't work 100% of every day. Okay, so the change will occur, and even the very top or the best software engineers also make some mistakes during the project. Okay, so that is what you should be realistic. So which means to acknowledge. Let me write. So we should acknowledge human and technical limits. Okay, so this is what is to be realistic. Next is adjust granularity. Next point is adjust granularity. So you have to adjust the granularity as you define the plan. So now, what is this granularity? So this refers to the level of detail that is introduced as a project plan is developed. Clear? So a detailed short-term tasks more finely than long-term ones. For example, if you plan daily tasks for current week, but broader goals for next month. That is the example. And this next point is define quality measures. So this is to decide how quality will be ensured. For example, you specify that the code will be, reviewed and tested. Okay, so then after that, you'll get what exactly the quality that you're expecting for. And so basically, we try to define what sort of measures that we take to ensure the quality in this phase. Okay. I think you know about this pair programming, right? Pair programming. Yeah. So sometimes, if suppose, let us say during our planning, if pair programming is to be used, so during the construction phase, so then it should be explicitly defined within the plan itself. I mean, so that is how you will ensure the quality. I mean, you have to define all these things once you do this activity. So then the next point is plan for change. Okay. So what is this plan for change? So we should describe how to how we intend to accommodate the change. That means, so in any of the software, change is inevitable, right? So you have to be ready for that. So if, for example, so maintain a change request form to handle new future requests. Okay. So based on this constant, request that you get, you just try to update your project. So then next point is to track frequently. So track the plan frequently and make adjustments as required. So you need to monitor the progress regularly. That is what track frequently says. So these days you can see many are using Jira. So in order to have daily updates on Jira, and which also helps us to detect, or delays. So next we have modeling principles. So what are these modeling principles? Basically, modeling principles will create flowcharts, UML diagrams, ER diagrams, and understand both what the system does and how it does. Next is validate models with users. So now we'll see points of modeling principles. So now coming to modeling principles, first one says that, so build software, not just models, which means the primary goal of the software team is to build the software, so not to create the models. So you should focus on models which will aid for the software development. For example, we have a couple of diagrams which I told you already. So let's say a class diagram is there, a class diagram, let us assume. So a class diagrams helps the development team, but instead of having some redundant flowcharts, we can have this class diagram. So basically what happens is, if you have a proper class diagram with you, some redundant flowcharts can be avoided, right? And second point is travel light, which means you don't create more models than what you need. Okay, so only create the necessary models. Only create the necessary models. Create only the necessary models. So you have to avoid making, for example, a sequence diagram. If a use case diagram is sufficient, right? So that is what is to have only the necessary models with you. Then next point is simplify the models, which means you strive to produce the simplest model, okay, which is enough to describe the project. Understood? So for example, if a data flow diagram should only include key processes and data stores and not any other things, okay, and such a diagram will always make you understand very clearly, and which is very simpler to understand, and there is no complexity in it, because we are using this DFD, that is data flow diagram, where we are specifying that it should include only the key processes and data stores. That's it. So by this, we keep models clear and understandable. So then next point is make models changeable. What is make models changeable? So we have to what? We have to use some tools for making easy model updates. Understood? So that is what make models changeable, because models should evolve with requirements. So next is clear purpose. Okay. So clear purpose is nothing but create the models for your project with a specific goal. Okay. With a specific goal. For example, so now use case diagrams are created. Okay. For what? To define some user interactions, right? How do we do the use case diagram? Using some actors and use cases. We generally do our use case diagrams. So we all know that use case diagrams are created to define the user interactions. So there should be some clear purpose, okay, for the model that we create with a specific goal. And next, adapt to the system. So what is adapt to the system? You have to choose model types based on the system. Okay, you have to choose model types based on the system. Next, usefulness, perfection. Okay, usefulness, perfection. That is, we have to, you try to build some useful models, but not building perfect models. So you need not, worry about the perfection. Rather, you need to understand that how useful is that. So which means focus on clarity, not flawless format. Okay, I'll write here. Focus on clarity, not flawless format. Okay, this is here usefulness perfection. Then you have the next point, flexible representation. So don't obsess over formal notation. For example, sketches are acceptable if they convey the idea. Okay, so that is what your flexible representation says. If for example, to say this, so if it communicates the content successfully, so the representation is secondary. Okay, that is what your this point says. Next, trust instincts. Okay, so what is trusting the instincts? What is trusting the instincts, students? So trusting the instinct is, if something feels wrong, double check. For example, if a model seems off, so just revisit the requirements. I mean, if your instinct is saying that the model or the software, once you start, is going to fail, or I mean, if you feel any of such, so you just have to be careful, and you just need to, change it accordingly. Clear? That is what is needed. Next point, get feedback early. Okay. So what is getting the feedback early? So share the models early for review purpose, such that you'll get the feedback early. For example, so review the class diagrams with team during your design meetings. So that will make you clear with your project. Okay, students. So hope you understood today's class. Thank you.